So this is a bit of a tough one to think about on the spot, but just in case there are any thoughts on this, if we could decide the rules of picking up women, what should they be? So, for example, leave her better than you found her has been said many times over the years. Is there anything else that comes to mind?
Uh, is there anything else that comes to mind? I like that. I would say as a practice, enhance her self-esteem, help her feel good about herself. That that's not only a wonderfully positive thing to do, but it will reflect well on you and help with your success with women.
That's
Help
very
her
refreshing.
feel better about herself.
Yeah. How about the rest of you guys?
Couldn't agree more. In fact, it's possible to do that without kissing her ass or putting her up on a pedestal. If you can develop that degree of emotional intelligence, and I know that's not something that's heavily emphasized in the community, I think emotional intelligence is very attractive because it's a survival trait. If you don't have emotional intelligence, you don't know how to negotiate power among the tribe or the clan when we were living in small groups. So if you can display emotional intelligence with a woman, I don't mean being hypersensitive and crying because Bambi got crushed by Godzilla. But if you can display emotional intelligence, which by the way requires some genuine investment in your own personal development, I think that's very attractive, very, very attractive. And yeah,
I agree with that for sure. I like the expression emotional intelligence.
I didn't come up with it,
Yeah.
sir. Thank you.
No, but at least you're smart enough to use it. It it suggests uh, being aware of people's needs besides your own. Uh,
Yiddish Kopf, Yiddish Kopf.
yes. Okay.
There's a rabid anti-Semite on the call, so I'm just digging him.
No, there's
Okay.
not. There's no anti-Semite at all on the call. No, there's not.
But you're hanging out with one, you got your tongue up the ass of one who's
Not
just that. So
certainly not.
Moving
Well,
on.
I would say that yes, that's true, but I think that it can go a step further and you become the anchor for that, right? So it's not just general self-esteem, it's self-esteem that is anchored through you, so that you become the root of her sense of better well-being and not just an in general sense of well-being. And the process is to make that happen or detailed and long. I won't go into explaining that, but for maybe Ross, you go into things like NLP, although I don't believe in any of that stuff, but it's the end
I,
result. The end result is the same, right?
I
So
guess
so the
all the phobias
pathways.
I've cured have to come back because you don't believe in NLP.
Right. But the end result is the same. And the point is that is getting into the mind such that you become an anchor for certain feelings, certain self-perceptions and beliefs.
I,
I
s-
think
I've, forgive me, I've got to go, Mr. Weber. It's been an honor. I frankly only tuned in to say hi to you. And you should live to 100 and sei gesund and Am Yisrael Chai. And always great to talk to another member of the tribe. Shalom, shalom.
Thanks.
Shalom.
Alrighty.
just to go off a little bit more on what the other speakers have talked about when it comes to like roles of pickup, not just with women, just in pickup or self-improvement, is that you can learn to be confident without putting other people like down, right? I think sometimes there is this idea that if I win, someone else must lose, and I don't think that's, necessarily true. But also, just to go a little bit further, is don't expect being good or picking up a girl to fix you, right? Like getting her is not going to fix you. Typically, a lot of times, it's just a symptom of potentially a deeper level problem that you might have. So just getting a girl, don't expect that to fix you.
100%. Super valid point. Like filling your own void with women. I think, yeah, actually, we got some questions about that later on. Any other thoughts on this?
As far as the rules are concerned, I think most important thing I think would be to just not lie. Like it's very difficult if you're not a super high status dude to just tell girls, hey, this is exactly what I want in this situation. But I have found that just the extreme levels of honesty, it's easier for me to sleep at night. I don't like to lie. One of the things is, because the girls that I date are I mostly like being with bisexual women. I never have to like, no, I didn't think she was hot at all. I would prefer to be just completely open and honest about all of it, and sometimes to my own detriment. But I think us like telling the truth, like there's the only thing I would say is if your intention from the rip is you just want to have sex with a girl, you have no intention of being in a relationship. I'm not saying you have to say that off the rip, but don't say, hey, I want to marry you when you know you don't, because we don't think about it from our standpoint as men. They have a limited time that they can have children. We have a much more extended time that we can have children, and we're sitting there wasting their fucking time when they could be having kids. Because we just want to fuck them and their friends. So that's the only thing I would say is just being honest.
Totally agree.
Sounds
Ready, let's
good.
jump. Any other comments? Yeah, go ahead. You want to say something?
Well, I don't know if we're going to get into this any further, but it's something that I've noticed, and it like has to do with wanting to get good at game, but and I guess pick up in order to feel better. And after working with some guys who are very good at it, right? They still have nice guy syndrome tendencies. They still lack confidence. They lack a core sense of self, but they become good at supplying themselves with the drug of validation, the drug of female desire, and things of that nature. So on the surface, everything seems to be going well, say from another guy observing them from the outside, say, hey man, you're constantly around women, you're constantly getting women, you must be doing great. But if they were to take a break from that, say like for a month, they would go through withdrawal symptoms in the same way an alcoholic would. So because they've developed just a keen way to get the drug that they've been after, because say being a nice guy, that method of drug procurement didn't work. So they spent time in reading books and practicing and going to coaches and all this to supply that skill so they can get a lot better at it. But they're still just a drug addict.
Yeah, I mean, I think that goes into like the pickup industry itself. I mean, obviously we have like multiple schools, different, realms of thought, and one extreme is like get the result no matter the cost, right? And you can be like the pickup artist that has enough technique to get that model, but then she wakes up and realizes you live in like your parents' basement and there's like a jar of urine next to your bed, right? It's like your lifestyle is just awful, but yeah, technically you're good enough. But, other things feed into, like you're saying, like your confidence and your happiness. And it isn't always about women. Women typically is a symptom, not always, but a symptom of potentially a deeper lying issue. What really makes a person happy? They say women, but then they get all the women and they realize, no, there's something else that's missing.